Hey, what up? 3.2 Integrating Quotations Criterion C video here. Our objective students will be able to integrate quotations into their own sentences fluently and add a works cited page to their higher level essay. So more on Criterion C. Let's take a look. First of all, in your notes, you've got this question. What does it mean to integrate quotations? Here's the key. Make the quote part of your own sentence, so that without the quote, the sentence no longer makes sense. That is the best way, I think, to describe integrating quotations. Here's another way to think of it. An integrated quote is never isolated in its own sentence or paragraph. So it's never on its own. It's always embedded into your own sentence. Here's an example. Jesmyn Ward explains in her prologue that she is writing the book to give voice to this story that has remained silent for too long. If I took out the quote, my sentence would read, Jesmyn Ward explains in her prologue that she is writing the book to that has remained silent for too long. It would no longer make sense. So when you integrate your quote, you're putting a short piece of text inside of your own sentence. How much does IB care about it? Well, there are 5 marks given for Criterion C. And Criterion C is both about how well organized, focused, and developed the essay is, but also how well examples are integrated into the essay. And this is really what they're talking about. They're talking about quotes being integrated. And so that is kind of half of Criterion B. If you take a look at a 5, supporting examples are well integrated into the structure of the sentences and paragraphs. So they're well integrated at 5. At 4, they are mostly well integrated. At 3, they are sometimes integrated. At 2, they are rarely integrated. At 1, they are not integrated. So since Criterion B is about 2 different things, one piece of it is the integration of quotes. I don't think that you're going to be able to score higher than a 2, though, for Criterion C if you don't integrate your quotes, because even a 2 has rarely integrated, meaning that some quotes are integrated. So be careful, because this is a really easy way to both earn points and kind of a bummer way to lose points. All right, let's take a look at some key tips here about integrating quotes. The first is to make your own point using the quote. Don't let the quote do all of the work. Take only what is most important about the quote, what you can't say any better yourself, and quote just those words. Try to keep your quote to 10 words or less. This quote has just 5 words. The short quotes are actually better because they force you to do the work, not let the quote do the work. Here's an example of a quote that is not isolated, that is not integrated. So it is isolated. And so this is what you don't want to do. And most of your essays look like this right now, because I haven't taught you about integrating quotes yet, and a lot of you haven't mastered this skill yet. So in this paragraph, the student says, before he talks about what he has experienced, Douglas starts the book off by talking about what he has not experienced, starting with, my mother and I were separated when I was but an infant, before I knew her as my mother. It is a common custom in the part of Maryland from which I ran away to part children from their mothers at a very early age, it be to hinder development of the child's affection towards the mother and to blunt and destroy the natural affection. So the student used an ellipses here, which is okay, except that the sentence stopped making sense with the ellipses. The other problem here, of course, is that this quote is isolated. It is not part of the student's sentence in any meaningful way. They have it combined with the student's sentence by using this comma here, but it's not actually working to help the student make a point. It's just in there on its own. And so instead of doing this, we want to integrate the quote. Here's an example of what we could do to integrate it. First of all, you can see that the quote is much shorter. I just took out a chunk of it. Let me read it to you. Before he talks about what he has experienced, Douglas explains that he has never had a mother by his side like white children of his age, because it was a common tradition in Maryland to separate slave mothers from their children to try to stop the natural human development of the child's affection towards the mother, and to destroy the mother's natural affection for the child as well. Separation at such an early age takes away a part of Douglas's identity, as he is not able to spend important time with his immediate family. So you can see that now these quotes, I've actually got 2 quotes from that one long quote, are working to help make a point. And I've used some of the language from that long quote, and I've paraphrased it, like saying, it was a common tradition in Maryland to separate slave mothers from their children. That is me putting Douglas's words in my own words and then just quoting a shorter chunk, the part that's harder to say any better myself. Development of the child's affection towards the mother, destroy the mother's natural affection. And then you can see I have a bracket in here, so I've added this word. That's what the brackets denote. And it happens on page 20, so I have the page number there. So MLA format asks you to put page number in parentheses at the end of the quote and keep punctuation out of the parentheses. So all punctuation goes either before or after the parentheses. If you're only citing one source, you don't actually have to include the author's last name. Here's an example. Wordsworth stated that romantic poetry was marked by a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, and it was on page 263 of the one text that this person is citing in their essay. Here's an in-text example for adding words, and I've already shown you an example of this. You use brackets to show that you have added words. And if you want to omit words, you need to use an ellipses, and you do that by using the space bar, period, space, period, space, period, space. Now you also do have to have a works cited page, even if you only cite one source. It's the list of sources used in the essay. It should be its own page at the end of the paper. And you're going to center the title Works Cited if you have more than one work. If you only have one work, like Men We Reaped or Frederick Douglass, you're just going to say Work Cited, because it's just one. There isn't works. There's just one work. All right? Double space the entire list of sources. Use hanging indentation for each entry. Begin each entry flush with the left margin. Indent all subsequent lines 1/2 inch. And arrange entries in alphabetical order by the first term in each entry, the first author's last name or the title of the work when there is no author. Continue with the numbering convention used throughout the paper by including your last name and the page number in the upper right-hand corner of the works cited page. And then there's also a source in week 17 with all you need to know about MLA formatting, in-text citations, and the works cited page, so you can use it as a reference at any time. All right, good luck as you integrate quotes. There's some practice for you in the packet. And then I want you to start working on it with your own essays. Since I haven't given you back, I haven't necessarily given you back your essay. Some have their essays, some do not. If you're wanting to use an essay that I haven't graded yet, then what you're going to do is use the document in week 17 in Schoology and follow the directions in the packet to copy and paste the quotes that are not integrated into that document and then integrate them. There is a mastery check as well at the end of this lesson. Thanks for all you do. Hang in there, we're almost done.